This is Jared Altick, and I'm here with Kaleb Sackett, and we have something different for you today.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just need something light and breezy in life. I mean, life can be hard enough, and certainly this has been a difficult season for many.
Are you saying there's a lot of bad news out there and dense, heavy topics that are depressing? Yeah.
No, of course not. But, we just thought, let's do something today that'll just make people smile, just be levity.
What we did is we came up with a kind of a game to play, a type of conversation to have, and it's called I'll Give It 7 out of 10. And these are not things we like. These are not things that we hate. These are things that are just almost, they're good, but they're not awesome. I like it, but it's not amazing. It's good, but it also has some room for improvement, or it's, too good to get rid of, that kind of thing.
It's the definitive 7 out of 10 list.
Yes, these are things that we each independently, I don't know what Kaleb has. I've only seen my list, vice versa is true also. But we have come up with a list of things that are definitely a 7 out of 10.
Solidly.
And I'm sure that in our society today that no one could possibly disagree with us.
These aren't going to be controversial at all.
Not a bit. Nope. But these are truly just our opinions. And so, Kaleb, I'm going to give you a chance. We'll go back and forth. You tell me what's the first definitive, absolutely, you're willing to die on this hill, okay? What is a 7 out of 10 in your mind?
I am only willing to go that far on some of these. All right, here's my first one. Snow. Snow is a 7 out of 10. It's beautiful.
Okay.
And it can be magical. It also can get to be a pain in the butt when it hangs around for long enough. And then it turns all nasty and black. And it's and I like it sparingly. You know what I mean?
There's a distinct difference between freshly fallen snow
and
like snow that's been plowed.
In the Walmart parking lot that's 2 months old.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
snow.
So generally you like it, but it's got some room for improvement. You can take that up with God.
That's right.
Okay. All right, well, I have one. Do you know what Brazilian rodizio service is in a Brazilian steakhouse?
Yeah, I mean, like when they come and bring the meat around to you.
On the big skewers. Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Yes. That's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Really?
Yes, the food is awesome. I'm all about meat and all the different stuff, but there's and I really thought the experience was novel the first few times I went to a place like that, but it's super pricey.
That's true.
I mean, if you went to a steakhouse, you get a really nice steak for less money than what this rodizio service is. And then there's always the guy with like lamb or something, and he keeps coming to your table and offering it to you, and you keep telling him, you feel bad because he's like broken English, and it's the whole experience it's great. I like it. It's just maybe not a 10 out of 10 for me.
I'll tell you what, though. I have a decent amount of experience with this because there's one particular restaurant that my parents like going to a lot, and because my mom grew up in Brazil.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, but since COVID-19, they changed it up a little bit.
Okay.
And now, at the place that they go to, you write down your 5 dishes that you want them to just
that's what I need.
Bring to you.
See,
it's perfect.
It would come up to a 9 out of 10 for me if that's how it worked. All right. So Kaleb, you have another one?
All right. My next one is amusement parks.
Really?
For kind of the same reason you just gave a little bit. One, they're overpriced.
Okay.
They're kind of expensive for what you get to do. I mean, I get that they're massive rides and it takes a lot of money to build them, but
have you ever broken down the price per roller coaster ride?
I haven't. But
don't do it.
You don't get to ride that many rides at a day at an amusement park. I mean, literally, if best case scenario, you're maybe going on 15 things. Maybe.
Yeah.
Usually it's 10 or fewer, especially if you're trying to hit all of them up, It is fun. It's certainly a novelty. It's a special thing. You don't get to do it every day. And it's cool, but it's also not man, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. Maybe the first time you go, it's pretty awesome, but...
Well, and it's one of those things where if you could go for half price, you could give it a much higher rating.
Yeah, that's the thing is you kind of need to go to the amusement park like for a deal. You need to find a deal. But even still, it's kind of a 7 out of 10 experience, I think.
Yeah, that can have that. Like if you're talking about like the really big ones, the destination ones like Disney World, man, it's so expensive. And
is it a letdown because of how expensive it is?
They're pretty good. But yeah, I could see someone giving it a 7 out of 10 simply because it was so exorbitantly expensive that they kind of took it out for you. Yeah.
So what's your next one?
I get that. My next one, also a destination, Mount Rushmore.
I've never been, but it seems lower than 7 out of 10 in my mind.
Oh, well, maybe then I'm helping bring it up for you because I'd recommend going. I think everyone ought to go once.
One time.
Yeah. I mean, the Black Hills are beautiful. There's other things to do in that general area. You can kind of make a day or even a couple days out of it if you're in that neck of the woods. But oh my goodness, if the piece de resistance of your vacation was we're going to go to Mount Rushmore, it might be a bit of a letdown. It's very cool. You should go one time. I do recommend it. It's just not a 10 out of 10.
It's so low on my priorities list. I really don't even care if I ever get to go or not.
No, but if you get a chance, you should. You should. Sure. But it's not a 10 out of 10. No, not at all. All right.
Okay, so this one for me is one that I think is underrated and underappreciated by people.
Okay.
Jazz music.
Really?
Yeah, well, I think if you ask most people today, especially younger people, they'd be like, jazz, First of all, it's foundational music. It's very important music, and I think people need to appreciate it more. That being said, I'm not in love with it. Right. And I played jazz music all throughout high school and college. I did big band, I did combo, but I hardly ever choose to listen to it on my own. It's not just like popping on in my car, when I'm driving anywhere. But if it's on in a restaurant or an elevator, like I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, this is some nice ambiance, some good jazz music.
Now, see, that's surprising that you have the perception that people think poorly of it and that you're bringing it up to a 7.
I think so.
Because I think that maybe in my generation or in my circle or whatever, there were a lot of pretentious jazz snobs who claimed that they're very interested in jazz, and that was, that's what they prefer.
Aren't they attempting to do the same thing, though? Aren't they attempting to, bring it up?
Maybe. Yeah, and I would say, well, you can claim that jazz is your jam, but I mean, it's good. I can agree with a 7 out of 10. Now, it's interesting that you had a type of music because I also have one that I think is more definitively reviled. And I actually kind of like it. Bluegrass music, especially with banjos.
I will give you this one, man. I might even call that an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Really?
Bluegrass is good.
I'm glad to hear that because, man, I think a lot of people, if it's anything folksy, I think people kind of like, ugh, that's so beneath me or whatever, or that's so redneck or something. And I'm not a country music fan. Mm-hmm. Really not at all. I grew up with it, and I kind of I went to college and I swore off country music. I mean, steel guitar starts and I just run away. But I find myself perusing YouTube or something, and I'll end up listening to an hour of bluegrass music at night, and I'm really intrigued by it. I really appreciate it.
I think that perception might be changing a little bit with younger generations, actually, because
they're moving away from jazz and toward bluegrass.
Because modern folk music, there's a place for it right now. Have you ever heard of the Avett Brothers before? They're a very popular folk group. And so I think those type of sounds, bluegrassy sounds, have an appeal to a younger audience that is starting to get modern folk music infused.
There's a family band out of Branson called the Petersons, and they play a lot of bluegrass, and it's several siblings. And I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have said that I liked bluegrass or stuff about it I don't care for, but wow, an hour can just go by and I've listened to a whole playlist of bluegrass, and I didn't set out to do that, but somehow I enjoyed it anyway.
It's a good 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I actually have a series of awards that I'd like to do on this list. I call them the most 7 out of 10 awards. Think of them
like get a 10 out of 10 for being a 7
that's
out
right.
of 10.
They're like Academy Awards, like the Oscars or the Grammys. Okay, so I have a few of these mixed into my list. So this is the first one, okay? The award for the most 7 out of 10 fast food restaurant, definitively, is Dairy Queen.
Okay.
Their fast food is fine. It's not the best. It's certainly not the worst. It is a little overpriced. Like their actual food. Yes.
Yeah.
For what you get, I'm kind of like, really? It's that expensive? But some really good ice cream options.
Yes.
Shout out to the Dilly Bar. That is a fantastic invention right there. You know, they got like ice cream cakes and things you can buy. It's 7 out of 10. If someone told me let's go to DQ, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. That's okay.
Well, if you're going to DQ for ice cream, then that maybe be a 9 out of 10.
The experience is a little better.
If you're going there for dinner,
yeah,
man, I'd need a coupon
yeah.
or something. You know, again, if it were cheaper, yeah.
It's never high on my list of places to go, but I don't hate it. It's solidly 7 out of 10.
That's fair. Okay. I have one, the praying hands emoji. Okay. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Now, is this
it's the one
with two hands coming together?
It's not a prayer. It's the namaste.
It's like it's like Eastern religions.
Yeah, I bow to you. Yes, and but everyone in my circle uses that for prayer. And so you say, "Hey, something's going on," and then they're saying, "I'm praying for you." And then they give the namaste, hands together emoji, and I know what they mean. And I've looked. There is not currently a better prayer emoji. There's not somebody kneeling down praying. There's no Bible emoji, I've noticed.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah. And so, we've got a fortune cookie emoji now, but we don't have one for any kind of prayer.
I mean, there's not one with a Thunderbolt rocket ship being sent to heaven or something like that?
No. And so I like the shorthand that it provides, that all emojis provide. I appreciate someone being able to use that, but I don't think it's meant to be a prayer one. I think that we're co-opting it, which I don't mind that either, but then because for lack of anything else to use, everybody uses it. So I'll get like in a group text with a bunch of chaplains, and we are just spamming that prayer emoji, or the one we've made it into a prayer emoji. And so it's good. I don't object to it. It's just I wish we had something better.
Can we just say that emojis are 7 out of 10 as a whole, just in general?
Well, yeah, I approve. I understand the purpose. Most of them fall short of what I would have wanted. And so yeah.
All right, my next one.
Is this another award?
Nope. We're going to pause on the awards for a minute.
That's all right.
Interlude. Video games. 7 out of 10.
The whole category.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. They're neat, obviously, right? I mean, they've got some razzle-dazzle to them. But how many first-person shooters do we really need?
Right.
There is not a ton of originality in this particular genre. I mean, Nintendo pushes the boundaries. They do kind of a good job of this. But even still, how many Mario games have been created, right? They just latch on to franchises left and right. You know what I mean? They're wildly fun and addictive for sure. But man, I would just rather spend my time doing other things most of the time. I don't need another reason to sit down in front of a screen for hours on end pretending to be somebody else.
Now, but do you really, is that still a 7 out of 10 for you though, or is that lower?
What, video games?
Yeah.
They are fun. Like when I play them, I have a good time.
Yeah.
I enjoy them.
Yeah. Popular generally among a lot of different types of people.
Absolutely.
Sure. See, I have a problem with that. There's such a time sink. And especially iPhone games that are kind of created to give you that little bit of dopamine hit. And so it's almost like an addiction. And I kind of just had to give up on them. In fact, I have some on my phone still, but I actually hid the pages because I never go to them anymore. And I just don't. I can't afford to give up that many minutes every day.
I did the same thing. Now, I've found other ways to waste my time.
Yeah. I'm not claiming I have unwasted hours. But
Yeah,
but not on video games anymore.
We have a Wii in our home, and we occasionally, every once in a while, Laura and I will hop on and play something together. But it's always one-offs. There's no like big campaign story thing that you got to sink 60 hours into or something.
Those were the games I really liked.
Me too. I loved them, but I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, I feel you there. All right, let me move to something a little more historical. President George H.W. Bush. Okay.
You're rating a president.
Yes. No offense to the Bush family, but and this may be bringing it down for some people from a 10 out of 10 or up from like a 0 or a negative for others. But I mean, on paper, the guy was a war hero. I mean, it was the youngest pilot in the Navy in World War II. He was shot down multiple times, rescued by a submarine. The dude was a war hero. He was a CIA director. He was Reagan's vice president. You would think for conservatives, this dude would be a rock star.
Very accomplished list.
And then he ends up kind of being
ho-hum, milquetoast.
Yeah. And it hurt that he only served one term because there was a recession and then a 3-way race, which if it had been a 2-way race, he probably would have won anyway. But because Ross Perot siphoned off a lot of his voters. But oh, goodness sakes. Yeah, if he had had a second term, maybe we'd think more highly of him. But I think a lot of people think lowly of him, and maybe some conservatives are like, I don't care. He had an R next to his name, so he's a 10 out of 10 for me. And maybe if you're thinking that, I'm arguing, no, he was a 7. Okay? He's just a 7. It's, he saw us through the end of the Cold War, and the rest of us kind of not that great. So George H.W. Bush, my apologies, but no, just 7 out of 10.
My next one is just another thing in life. Adult birthdays. Now
it's okay to have a birthday.
Oh, absolutely.
But like birthday parties?
Just the thing in general.
Okay.
Adult birthdays. I just had one. You're getting ready to have one.
Yeah.
They're still fun. Okay, it's a generally good day, especially if you get to hang out with friends and family. That's great. Sometimes you get to eat good food, go to a restaurant you like or something like that. But they can also be slightly lackluster from like a kid birthday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you have a party, it's just different. Everything just gets a little bit less exciting. They're good. They're just not great.
You have the impending doom hanging over your head, like the sword of Damocles. You're 1 year closer to death. Is that what you're?
I don't think about that a lot, though. You know what? Once I hit 30, once I hit 30, maybe that'll be like part of the cards. Although this is my last birthday that I won't have a kid, so
right.
I'm sure it'll get even more lackluster next year when it's totally not about me at all.
I think once you're a parent, all your energy goes into the children's birthdays.
Yeah.
And a lot of our experience of birthday parties is the experience of the adults excited for the kids.
Right.
And building it up with presents. And, that first birthday, now the big thing for several years now is the smash cake. And so you have a cake for everybody else, but then you have the smaller cake that the child just makes a huge mess of.
And we all oogle and, that's just so amazing.
Wonderful.
How cute.
I don't know who it's actually wonderful for. Maybe the mom, and I think the parents. The parents are like they're so pleased with their progeny moving forward in life.
I agree. All that's great. I'm just talking about the adult birthday side of it. 7 out of 10. No greater, no worse.
Okay. All right. Okay. My next one's going to be the beach. Okay. Listen. I love the ocean. My wife adores going to warm tropical places, and it's been kind of a goal of ours, try to get her there as often as possible since we live in the Midwest. But the beach, and she thinks that I hate the beach. Okay, I don't. It's a 7 out of 10. I like being at the ocean. I love the sound of the waves. I love the smell of the sea breeze. I do not love the smell of rotting seaweed. Okay, I do not love sand everywhere on my person.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and so if I can be on the pier, great. On a ship, great. In a hotel, looking out across all of those, any of those are fine. Actually, down on the beach itself, boy, I have my fill really quick. Walking on the beach is not as easy as it's pictured in movies. Like there's some romantic thing, and really you're like your ankles are getting sore, and it's just I don't know.
Do you think horses like walking on the beach?
I am just really questioning the glamour of it all. I think it's good. It's just not. It's not. Awesome.
Can I tell you something? I agree with you 100%. It's not on my list today, but I did write it down in preparation for this. In fact, I even put swimming on the beach. Like exactly what you said. Spending time actually on the beach. It's good, not great. Usually the conditions are not perfect. The water is freezing cold half the time or
sharks.
Well, there's that. But Laura and I, we were at a resort a couple years ago for a vacation we took to St. Lucia, and I enjoyed swimming in the really, really, really nice pools that were 70 yards away from the beach and still seeing the skyline and hearing the water and all that than actually being on the beach.
Yeah. I've had fun swimming in the ocean or whatever. It's just, it wears you out and you get so dirty with the sand and the water. And
it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I recommend it. I just don't want to do it every day. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We have reached my second award for the afternoon, evening, whatever we want to call this.
Okay.
This is the most 7 out of 10 actor award. Okay. This one might be a little controversial. I don't know. Definitively, the most 7 out of 10 actor is Will Smith.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I looked at a big list of really well-known prominent actors, and I decided he's my 7 out of 10.
That's daring, too, because he's had a long career.
He is an important actor. Okay. I want to state that off the top.
Okay.
He is clearly talented and somewhat versatile. He has proved that in his adult career.
He's got charm.
Yes. I certainly don't hate him, but man, he doesn't excite me like others do. I don't look at a film and go, oh, Will Smith is in it. I've got to see this. Yeah. He's not Jamie Foxx or Tom Hanks or Christian Bale. I mean, I think of them as just amazing actors. Yeah. He's 7 out of 10.
Well, and for every really good performance, like he did the Muhammad Ali movie.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, wow, he's actually acting. That is, I mean, he disappeared and Muhammad Ali emerged. And so there's some good stuff. For every one of those, he does some throwaway blockbuster garbage where I don't even think he's acting. It's just Will Smith is a cop today and he's shooting at bad guys or something.
Yeah. So I don't know. He just doesn't hold a super high level of appeal for me. But he's fine. I don't hate him. I like seeing him. He's cool.
Yeah, Will 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Okay, I get that. Well, since you brought up movies, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 movie that I think is absolutely reviled. And so this is one of those.
You're raising it up from the ash
from
heap.
the bottom, and I'm bringing it back up. I'm going to stand in defense and say this is at least a 7 out of 10.
What we got?
My 7 out of 10 movie is The Phantom Menace. Okay, the first Star Wars prequel. All right, you got to remember when it was the 90s and all you had was a 20-year legacy, not even 20 years at that point, but almost 20 years of the original Star Wars. And those children had become adults and we were waiting for more of the same. And instead we got, baby Darth Vader and Jar Jar Binks. And I think the disappointment was overwhelming. And so there's a stigma on that movie that I don't know if it's deserved.
I think it's an unfair stigma. I actually totally agree with you.
Okay.
People hate this movie, and I don't see why. Now, to be fair...
Jar Jar Binks.
Well, okay. But it came out when I was 8 years old. Okay. I will point out, prior to that movie, I had already watched the other Star Wars films. I was already into it. I was doing puzzles, and I had some action figures and things like that. And then they were like, we're doing another Star Wars movie.
Are you old enough to remember the re-releases in theater of the
No,
first three?
no,
They got remastered and updated a little bit.
I mean, I know about that, but I didn't go. I didn't see them
okay.
in theater.
Okay.
But I was like, oh my gosh, there's another Star Wars film, and I was enamored and engrossed by it. Also, for as lame as Jar Jar Binks might be, you've got Darth Maul.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going to go. Yeah.
The best Sith apprentice of all time.
Yeah. That movie.
Liam Neeson,
The music.
Ewan McGregor.
It is better than people give it credit.
For sure.
And they thought that, oh no, we've seen the bottom of the barrel for on-screen portrayals of Darth Vader. Oh, then.
And then Hayden
Attack of the Clones
Christensen was born.
Exactly. It can't get worse. And so, and people thought, oh, well, the prequels, it can't possibly be worse than that.
And then Disney.
Then the most recent trilogy came out, and well, you know that you can go lower. So,
And I don't know that the recent trilogy is flaming hot garbage, but
yes, it is.
But I think the Phantom Menace is better than whatever that nonsense was.
Oh, absolutely, 100% better, 100%. And the trilogy, the prequel trilogy as a whole, is
Pretty
better than
good.
the most recent
Yeah.
trilogy. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So 7 out of 10 for the Phantom Menace.
I would just like to point out that each of us has 10 items on our list today, and we've both just finished our 7th item.
Oh,
So this is the most 7 out of 10 moment
in the 7
time.
out of 10.
Yes.
I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah.
All right. Well, so I got 3 more. My next one is mostly for you, Jared.
Okay.
Minsky's Pizza. It
That hurts.
is
That
7 out
hurts.
of 10. Now, is Minsky's, is it a national thing or is it a local chain?
I think
or
it's regional.
Regional?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
You've taken me a few times. I can tell you really dig it.
Oh, it's
You're
great
like,
pizza.
man, I just really, really
Fantastic.
love this. I have had better. I've had worse. I never go away feeling unsatisfied, but to me, it's kind of just pizza. It's
that's your
good,
St. Louis,
not great.
That's your St. Louis talking. If the crust is thicker than a credit card, you're like, I'm out. This isn't real pizza.
That is not true. There was a place in Johnson City that Laura and I loved. And I just haven't been able to, for me, it's all about flavor, really.
Right.
And I haven't been able to find a place that like really captures that, oh my gosh, this is such good, flavorful pizza.
Oh, I thought you were saying you don't like good flavor, which is why you don't like Minsky. Oh, okay. So 7 out of 10 for Minsky's. All right. I'm going to go with wearing a watch. I used to be a watch wearer, and now I have my phone. And
I was going to say, with the advent of cell phones,
the last 10 years, I just quit wearing a watch, and I'm not against it. I see watches that I think look nice as like an accessory to an outfit or something. I think that there is, that's a classy looking watch, and it is handy to have the time, right, and not have to like dig the phone out of your pocket.
Yep.
And I mean, so I think it's more socially acceptable to glance at a watch than it is to pull your phone out. Although both could be frowned upon. But if the Apple Watch got just a little better, if you had multiple days of battery usage, if you could wear it on the inside of your wrist, if there was some stuff like that, I would be a watch wearer again. I'm not against watches, just it's just not there.
I feel like they're kind of cumbersome. I don't want that on my wrist. And like I played.
Is that because you're a drummer?
I play drums, so that would definitely. I just feel like I would be taking it off all the time. I don't want to wear it while I'm typing. I don't want to wear it while I'm.
That's a good point.
Doing my daily stuff. It just I used to wear one like in elementary school for a little bit, and I was not long for that.
Yeah. I admire watches. I could be on board with watches. I'm just not right now. So for me, it's a 7 out of 10.
That's fair. Well, here's my final most 7 out of 10 award for the day. This is the most 7 out of 10 thing in existence award in the whole universe.
Okay.
Generic flu vaccinations. 7 out of 10.
Okay, I think I'm following you.
All right. So here's the thing. One, they're not 100% effective, right?
Because you don't know for sure what strain is
right.
going
They have to
be
do educated
prevalent.
guesses. And for any given year, they're usually somewhere between 40 and 70% accurate. Okay.
Okay.
But then you've got the whole like most people take them. But then there's some people who are like hardcore pro-vaccine about everything.
Right.
And then some people who are hardcore anti-vaccine
Yes.
about everything. So it's a very
And
divisive
if we've
topic.
learned anything from 2020, we need more controversy.
Yes,
right?
that's right. I just think it's the most 7 out of 10 thing ever. I think they're generally good. I should state right off the bat here, I'm not like dogging anyone who's on either side of that fight.
Sure.
I don't care. I think adults can make their own decisions. In fact, I think flu vaccines are generally a good thing. I, however, happen to have a pretty good immune system.
Yeah.
I haven't taken one in my adult life.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to change
And you
this
also
year.
don't get the flu regularly either.
I do
mean,
not.
You just don't get sick very much.
No,
Yeah.
that's going to change this year. I'm having a baby. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a flu vaccine this year.
Sure.
But it's a 7 out of 10 thing all around in general.
Well, since you brought up the topic of upper arms, my 7 out of 10 item is sleeveless tops for women. I am not a fan. I'm sure there are many attractive outfits, and I see it like even in professional settings where the top is basically a tank top. Okay, and I don't have a problem with shoulders. Okay, you have very beautiful dress or something like that where it's off the shoulders. Shoulders are lovely, but the armpit is not. Okay, and I don't know how to convey this. Like if I try to tell my wife, like, I'm not a big fan of a sleeveless top. I think she has nice arms. I think she's a beautiful woman. That's just not the part of the body that I want to see.
Super appealing in an outfit to you.
No, I mean, just a little bit of a sleeve would make, I think, a lot of those tops better. And so I'm not anti those tops.
Sure.
It's just, man, it seems like a lot of women, no man would walk into a business meeting wearing a tank top.
No.
Okay, that's not a good look. Not for Larry the Cable Guy. Not for business women either. Where it's like, yes, I'm going to go completely, cut off at the shoulder, no sleeves at all. I don't know if it's because it strikes me as unprofessional or if it strikes me as just I don't want to see your armpit folds or whatever. I don't.
I think I'm lower than 7 out of 10 on this, but I will say occasionally you see one that, for all intents and purposes, it's a nice blouse,
right,
that just doesn't have sleeves on it, and to me that doesn't strike me as like tank top. It's it
does to me.
Nice blouse thing. Plus, I know a lot of ladies, they'll put like a cardigan on over that.
Right. Well, then you're
that kind of solves the problem or whatever.
And see, and I don't have an issue with like if a woman's playing basketball and she's wearing a tank top.
Sure.
I don't even think about that.
Different setting.
Yeah, different setting. And so I'm not against it. It's not like, oh, hideous, cover up those armpits. I can't stand it. It just struck me as like, man, I'm not thrilled. I've never seen a topless blouse topless. That's not what I mean. A sleeveless blouse that I thought was like, oh, that is just the most flattering choice you possibly could have made. And I'm just
fair enough.
Not a fan of it. Yeah.
We've arrived at my last one. Yes. I think I've saved the most controversial for last.
Ooh, okay.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Really?
Is a 7 out of 10. Here's the thing.
It's on my list. It's not for today. But it was on my list. Yeah.
It's junk food for your eyes.
A little bit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit.
They're cool. They're obviously wildly popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Endgame broke every single record in the book at the box office. Highest grossing film of all time in our country and globally.
But I was specifically going to name Endgame. Because it's just like, oh, this is the best. Look how much money it made. But
here's the thing. They're cool. They're awesome. They're superheroes. They're well done. They're not masterpieces of cinema.
No.
Okay?
No. Or acting.
Sometimes the acting can be a little rough, but some of the actors are good. Like it's a balance. You got Paul Rudd. I mean, I love Paul Rudd. But then you got like Chris Evans. He just doesn't do it for me. You know? It's a mix, and some of them are better than others. I mean, some of the movies are very good. Some of the plots, you're like, yikes, they were scraping bottom of the barrel for that.
Yeah.
They're fine. I know some people who are just like, oh my gosh, the next Marvel movie is coming out. We go to see every single one in theaters. Well,
we did with my kids, with my teenage boys. We went and saw them all in the theater for several years, and Endgame didn't ruin it. I mean, because it was still a good movie, but wow, they tried real hard because everybody had to be included. It's literally a cast of thousands,
Right.
And I think especially they had that one girl moment where like all the girl superheroes all like had this moment where they posed
Of
and
like a
charged
girl
into
power
battle.
thing.
It was so forced.
Oh man.
So forced. Some of those were really good characters, and they pandered to such a point that it's like, oh, and you just jerked us all out of the movie. Pulled us all out and distracted us with your little moment that you had.
Are like
that
with that
ruined it.
specific movie, there's like plot holes, and there's also the whole like,
Oh my.
really, Captain Marvel comes out at the end, and like, where has she been, and just starts kicking butt everywhere, and it's like, well, it's kind of like, it's a little different, but it's kind of like how people point out the Eagles thing with Lord of the Rings, which I kind of understand to a small degree, but it was even grosser. You know what I mean?
Well, because Captain Marvel had been set up to be almost limitless in her power.
She's like Superman.
Right. And any Superman type character, you're going to have a plot problem because what can't they solve in like 2 seconds?
Yep.
And so, that was kind of lame. That was tough. That was tough because I liked the movie overall, and I liked the completion of that story arc across multiple movies. But you know what? There hasn't been any Marvel movies this year, and that hasn't like.
And you're okay with it.
Yeah,
Me
I've
too.
been okay with it. It just
they're good, but they're just 7 out of 10.
All right, my last one, completely different flavor here. For people who like to shoot guns, there is an almost religious adherence to the legend that is the Glock.
Okay.
And it's for those if you're not familiar, it's your typical cop pistol. It's a polymer handled gun, so the gun's made out of plastic on the bottom half. And the Glocks are known for being super, super reliable. And they are. I mean, you can drop them out of a helicopter, drop them in the mud.
We should pause for a second here.
Okay.
Because Glock is actually a brand of gun, right?
It's made in Austria.
Because a lot of people will talk about like a revolver, which is a category of guns, and then the other side they'll talk about
a semi-automatic
a Glock.
Pistol.
But people will say it like Kleenex. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
they
a brand.
mean a semi-automatic pistol,
Yeah.
and this is specifically a type of semi-automatic pistol that's striker fired, so it doesn't have a hammer on the back. There's no visible hammer to cock with your thumb, and so it's striker fired. It's made out of plastic in part. And it's super reliable. And so you got this really lightweight, high capacity, reliable gun. It's been used by police departments for decades now.
Sounds great,
and
Jared.
There are people who think this is the best gun that has ever been made. And it is good. But I can just feel them like cocking an eyebrow at me from afar that how dare you insinuate it's anything less than a 10 out of 10. And I've shot a lot of Glocks, lots of them, lots of different individually and lots of different models of Glock, different calibers and whatever. And the ergonomics are garbage. I can explain it to you. If you stick your hand straight out in front of you, your arm straight out in front of you, and you have a fist or your thumb up in a neutral position, that angle of your middle finger, ring finger, and pinky, that angle, which is angling back at you a little bit, is the angle that a lot of pistols have their grip at.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you cant your hand downward so that you're pointing forward with your thumb, so your thumb is flat with the top of your arm, okay, that's an angle that you find in some target pistols, but it's especially common with rifles and shotguns. If you think about it, a lot of those don't have a pistol grip. You're kind of holding an angled part of the stock, and that's a really extreme angle. Your fist is locked in a downward
But
position.
it kind of makes sense because your arm is pulled back more towards you.
Yes, it can help at that point. Okay, and so both of those make sense. The Glock handle is somewhere in between at this really awkward angle. And then the Glock itself, the design of all the pistols, are a very square, boxy shape. If you look at your hand, there aren't a lot of right angles there. And so it's incredibly uncomfortable. It's not that you can't train and overcome the shape of that weapon. You can shoot it for fun or shoot it for self-defense or whatever. And if you train enough, you can be good at it. But I would argue that so could a baseball player take a 2x4 and could eventually get good at hitting a ball with a 2x4. But wouldn't a Louisville Slugger be a better idea? And so back in the day, Glock was so reliable and it had a great reputation. But now all the other companies also produce polymer striker fired pistols that are just as reliable, and you can pick from a dozen different options that all have a better angle and a better feel to it. And I tell you, I can't. There's people I cannot convince.
There's Glock apologists out
Glock
there.
is a 10 out of 10, and they will put that on their tombstone. That is what they live and die by. And I Glocks are good, but for me, they're a 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah. So that's my take. Now all the Glock people hate me, but
I'm sure we got a few different people that hate us now. So
all the
it's
women
a great list.
who wear tank tops and
yeah, you're gonna come under more fire for that than anything else.
I know. Both of those. I didn't mean to leave them for the end. I was kind of responding to whatever you threw at me, but oh my goodness, yes. So I'm gonna have to go make an apology to her and apologize for having an opinion in 2020, which is a very dangerous thing to have.
Yes, it is.
But we hope that even if you were laughing at us, you can still get a good laugh, because frankly, that's what we all need. And
for sure.